The events in this program are inspired by a true story. Names, dates, and events have been changed. Viewer discretion is advised. On this episode of Bizarre Murders, Jorge and Miguel are famous wrestlers who also happen to be twin brothers and little people. These two larger-than-life personalities give new meaning to the expression sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But when one night goes too far, Jorge and Miguel face the ultimate fight of their lives.
Apita! Necesito apita!
Jorge and Miguel have been inseparable since birth. Unusually energetic, they grow up wrestling each other in their tiny, rundown home. Their father is not part of the equation, and their single mother has a tough time making ends meet. Without a television, they escape reality by listening to their older brother Guillermo's tales of the Mexican wrestling world. Guillermo is a pro wrestler who encourages his little brothers to join in on the fun. When they're teenagers, Guillermo sets the twins up with their first gig. They are billed as Los Gemelos Locos, the Crazy Twins. Jorge and Miguel are brash and wild, and at 4 foot 8 inches tall, ×2, they put on quite the show. In 1992, they adopt their adult wrestling identities, Hombre Salvaje and Cobra Voladora. And it doesn't take the tiny twins long to rise to the top of the Mexican wrestling scene.
Jorge and Miguel are rock stars in the Mexican wrestling world. But in all my years in the FBI, I've seen what can happen when fame puts you in a full Nelson. You can easily end up with 3 lifelong opponents: sex, drugs, and booze.
Over the next several years, the twins divorce their wives and deal with a different kind of wrestling. This time, the opponent is their growing alcohol and drug addictions.
Fiesta time, mi hermano! Yeah! Dude, that was a good fight!
After a big televised match against El Castigador, the twins are ready to celebrate. And for these boys, go big or go home isn't just a saying. It's a way of life.
In the short time that Fernando the bartender has been slinging drinks at El Cutre Hotel, he's seen his fair share of louts. But these two are especial.
Amigos, do you think you can keep it down a bit? Huh?
But when he asks them to tone it down, it falls on deaf ears.
Wrestlers. We kept the belt, man. Yeah, 2 years running. Tag team, come on. Come on. All right, come on, fill this up. Here we go. Oh, hi. Hey. Good.
How are you?
Do you ever take your mask off?
No. We leave these on all the time.
Sure, there's a certain thrill meeting strangers in a dark, dingy bar, but in my experience, it doesn't always have a happy ending. There was this case where a guy was gagged and bound to his bed with his junk duct taped so tight to his body that when the medics finally got it off, he wasn't ever able to, well, do it again. Stranger danger is what we like to say in the FBI.
The ladies make it known that they are prostitutes and that El Cutre Hotel is their office and place of business. And for a handful of pesos, will rock Jorge and Miguel's worlds. The twins and their newfound friends decide to take their cocktails up to the room for a nightcap, or guro de dormir, as they say in Mexico. But it doesn't take long before the party turns into a coke-fueled bender.
Just because Jorge and Miguel aren't able to actually receive the services that were agreed upon doesn't mean that these pros aren't getting paid, because that's how it works in this world.
The morning after, a cleaning woman from the hotel is doing her rounds and arrives at Jorge and Miguel's room. It's well after their checkout time. She tries to wake the twin wrestlers, but when they don't respond, she becomes concerned.
Pita! Necesito pita!
For such small guys, Jorge and Miguel ought to watch that voracious appetite of theirs. Everybody's got to pay the piper at some point.
Jorge and Miguel are twin wrestlers known as Hombre Salvaje and Cobra Voladora. They're also little people who defied their hard-knock upbringing and rose to the top of the Mexican wrestling world. But fame has its dark side, and they're on a downward spiral that almost always ends badly.
Cobra Voladora.
¿Quién?
The Flying Cobra.
I don't know who that is.
From the Crazy Twins? Los Gemelos Locos?
Once the police arrive on the scene, both Jorge and Miguel are officially declared deceased. The question the authorities immediately ask, was there foul play involved? But with no signs of forced entry and no signs of assault on the bodies, they can't ascertain the twin wrestlers' cause of death.
It's empty.
When police search the room, they discover the wrestlers have been robbed. The twins are celebrities in the Mexican wrestling world, and their hardcore partying is well known. Could they have been the target of a robbery gone wrong?
Can you fill us in on what happened?
I was just coming in to clean the room like I normally do, and I knocked on the door.
While they wait for the results from the autopsies on Jorge and Miguel, detectives question the cleaning woman who discovered Jorge and Miguel's dead bodies.
I just found these guys and they were dead.
I'm not surprised that they're grilling the cleaner. I mean, I do the same, because you wouldn't believe how many times that the person who finds the dead body is really the person who put it there.
But Guadalupe the maid has a solid alibi for the previous night. She was at the quinceañera of her 16-year-old niece. The police then turn their attention to the hotel staff working the night before. They're especially interested in a woman who was working at the front desk, Yolanda.
So who called you into the scene?
That was one of the housekeepers that I have on staff.
Yolanda tells the police that she remembers the men. Whoa, big surprise. Who wouldn't remember two guys with luchador masks in a bar? I mean, really.
She insists that she made no contact whatsoever with Jorge and Miguel. But she says that the bartender Fernando complained to her after his shift about these two obnoxious hombres pequeños who he'd like to smack around real bueno.
So, Fernando, you know why you're here.
The detectives move their focus to the bartender who served Jorge and Miguel the night before. They want to hear about their interaction and what it was about the brothers that rubbed him the wrong way.
Did you give them anything else besides alcohol?
No, nothing.
But when asked if he served anything other than alcohol to the little people, Fernando flies off the handle and gets very defensive.
Blame something for me I didn't do, okay? I didn't do anything. Nothing.
So here you've got this hot-headed hombre who was not only super pissed off with the little guys, but had access to what they were drinking all night, and now they're both dead with no visible signs of assault. And what the hell's Fernando thinking acting like this with the cops? Now they're gonna make him their suspect numero uno.
The twin wrestlers' autopsy results come in, and that's when the case goes from weird to bizarre. Los hombres pequeños have died from an overdose of tetrahydrozoline, HCI, more commonly known as eye drops. And the huge levels in their bodies can only mean one thing: they were poisoned.
The effects of tetrahydrozoline HCI when mixed with alcohol causes drowsiness, nausea, and amnesia. Kind of like what you'd find in a Rohypnol case, aka the date rape drug. Using tetrahydrozoline is a cheaper way of knocking someone out, but definitely not your typical murder weapon.
Toxicology reports confirm that for men of their size, death would only take 1 hour from when Jorge and Miguel consumed their drinks laced with the poison to when they died.
Turns out that everyone's favorite asshat bartender, Fernando, is no longer a suspect, because he left the building soon after the foursome went upstairs, and he wasn't at the crime scene within the timeline that the men were murdered. Too bad, I was starting to like him for this one, but that's the way investigation goes.
When detectives review past case files, they uncover several with a similar MO. Men who were drugged and robbed using tetrahydrozoline found in eye drops mixed with alcohol. But in these cases, there were never any fatalities. Detectives review the security footage from the hotel and isolate 2 mystery women seated with Jorge and Miguel. As far as the detectives know, they are the last people to have seen the twin wrestlers alive, which now makes them the prime suspects in the murder.
Okay, they're leaving. Wait, let me see if we can get her. There.
Their focus then turns to the women.
That's the first suspect.
Video security footage is one of the greatest things that ever happened to law enforcement. It's almost cheating. Solving a murder is still a major grind, but man, does it help when video is part of the evidence.
Second lady.
But without IDs for the 2 mystery women, detectives have no way of tracking them down. They release their sketches to other law enforcement agencies and the local media in hopes of turning up a lead.
Sure, the media can at times be a pain in the ass and actually hinder an investigation. But when you need to track a suspect down fast, the widest reach is your best bet and the media is your best friend. It's all hands on deck to find the 2 mysterious ladies of the night who took twin wrestlers Jorge and Miguel to their hotel room for a little R&R the night they were poisoned to death.
Jorge and Miguel are famous twin Mexican wrestlers, but they like to party a little too hard and never woke up from a wild night with 2 prostitutes. Autopsy reports showed they died from a lethal dose of tetrahydrozoline, also known as eye drops, mixed in alcohol. A massive search is now underway for the 2 women who were last seen with the twins the night they died.
In other news, the twin wrestling brothers known as Los Gemelos Locos were found dead today in their hotel room on the east side of downtown.
Mierda, what the hell did you do to them? ¿Qué hiciste? I did what we always do.
Persons of interest. Anyone with information is asked to contact local police.
Didn't you see that they were little people? How much did you put in there?
Why didn't you tell me?
Now the police is gonna come looking for us.
It doesn't take long for the partners in crime to start unraveling. Angela and Rosa decide to separate while they can, hoping to lessen the chances of getting caught. With only scant physical evidence and the police sketches to go on, the cops are at a loss for how to track down their prime suspects. But then Angela makes a major mistake that leads to her capture.
Free tip, when you drug your marks with the intent of robbing them, it's not a great move to later use one of their cell phones. Why not just buy yourself your own burner with the money you just stole, right?
Angela is immediately traced, ID'd, and brought into custody.
Can you tell us what happened?
I didn't mean for anything to happen. We just met the man and we wanted to party.
Have you guys robbed people before?
The police grill her, trying to connect her to last year's string of arrests.
Have you done this before?
I didn't want to hurt those men. They were nice men.
Angela admits that she isn't a prostitute. Never has been. She makes her living drugging men with eye drops, and once unconscious, she robs them. She's been at it for years. The dynamic duo are actually part of an all-girl gang in Mexico called Las Damas that specializes in posing as pros, baiting men to their hotel rooms, drugging them, and robbing them blind.
Can you tell me who this person is?
This is Rosa. If anything happened to those men, it wasn't me. It was Rosa.
Not only does Angela tell the police where to find Rosa, but she claims that Rosa is actually the brains behind the whole operation, and that she had nothing to do with it. She didn't poison them. Kingpin Rosa did.
She has done this before. I know this.
I can't tell you the amount of times we got someone to flip while they're in custody at the FBI. A little bit of mind games with some carefully placed pressure, more often than not gets the person talking. Friends until the end, right? Not really. The police have got to get to Rosa before she flies the coop, or possibly moves on to her next John.
Celebrity twin wrestlers Jorge and Miguel partied with the wrong women one fateful night. Turns out Angela and Rosa are part of a gang of women that pose as prostitutes, then drug and rob unsuspecting men. The police have Angela in custody and an APB out for her partner Rosa.
Where can we find her?
In an old apartment on the east side.
The detectives break Angela, and she reveals where Rosa can be found. Police track down Rosa holed up in a flea-bag motel on the outskirts of town. She's promptly arrested and brought in for questioning.
I poisoned somebody? No. That did not happen.
She said that you two were accomplices and you were the mastermind behind it.
Angela, she's the one. If those people were poisoned, maybe she did that? I didn't know nothing about that.
Shocking, I know. But Rosa doesn't agree with Angela's assessment that she's the mastermind. Not surprisingly, she claims that Angela's the real leader and that she was just doing what she was told.
She's the one who has been planning these things all along, okay?
Despite both women accusing the other of the crime, they worked as a team, carrying out the poisoning and the robbery together.
Salud, amigo.
The thing is, Mexican eye drops are a lot more potent than American ones. Go figure. I guess they have a more relaxed FDA-type situation. Now, a dosage of around 10 milliliters is enough to knock out an average-sized guy, but the same amount applied to, let's say, a 4'8" individual would be fatal. When Angela and Rosa drugged the little wrestlers, they weren't planning on killing them, just knocking them out.
Even though they didn't intend to kill Jorge and Miguel, Angela and Rosa are arrested for murder.
And if you knew how much to give them, we wouldn't be here right now.
The duo are sentenced to 55 years in prison for the murders of Jorge and Miguel. Twin wrestlers also known as Hombres Salvaje and Cobra Voladora.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get with a prostitute. It's illegal, and you could go to jail. That's if you're lucky, because as we just saw, you could get drugged and robbed. or even poisoned and die like a scumbag in a sleazy hotel room that smells bad and has bed bugs.